Rebecca St. James was a spokeswoman for True Love Waits, and during that time, she wondered if she was waiting for a person who didn't exist. Then she moved to California, and little did she know, just a few miles away lived a Jesus-loving bassist named Cubbie Fink.
Over 14 years ago, the love story for Grammy Award-winning Christian music artist Rebecca St. James and her husband, film producer Cubbie Fink, began. Like many, they longed for the fairy tale, the happily ever after. However, when life got hard, they quickly had to learn how to stay committed to each other. Rebecca and Cubbie share their love story and the challenges they've overcome in their faith and family life in their memoir, Lasting Ever.
All right, y'all. Well, I am so excited. Rebecca St. James and Cubbie Fink are here with us live in the studio. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Ashley. We're overjoyed.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited. I can't wait to get into the book Lasting Ever, which I like the play on everlasting, right?
Love, yes.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, I wanted to first ask you, let's go back to the time frame, like right before you guys met. You had been on the road for years. I mean, when did your career start? You were how old?
Well, I was 13 when I went on my first tour in Australia and 16 when I went full-time with music, so really young.
Yeah, so then you moved to California. And what was life like during that time? You were taking a break, right?
Well, I took a little break soon after we got married, but I was definitely pulling back from music. I was pretty burnt out. I was having vocal issues from stress, and I think part of it is starting really young. You know, it kind of catches up with you. And so I was doing some acting, actually. That's why I moved to LA. So some book writing, some acting, some music, but I was pretty burnt out, and I was struggling with that vulnerable feeling of, I always wanted to get married, have a family. Will this dream come true? I've been very public about that, sung about it, talked about it around the world, and I'm longing for this season that is not yet. Waiting in that waiting time.
Yeah. Well, Cubbie, what about you? Like, where were you at in life right before you guys met?
It was a pretty wild season. So I'd moved to LA to kind of pursue film and music, and the film industry kind of shut down because of the writer's strike, so I focused more on music, and I had a passion project with a couple of buddies that ended up kind of becoming a lot more than any of us anticipated. So I was kind of right in the early stages of that band starting to find its feet. And
Foster the People.
Yes, I was going to say, Foster the People. What was the most popular song?
Pumped Up Kids.
Yes, I remember listening to that. Really, it's a good song,
Yeah, so it was a lot of long hours on set. And then all my extra time was spent in the studio practicing. So I was, sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night in the time that we met. So I was kind of in a state of exhaustion, you could say. But also a very exciting time, just kind of on the brink of a lot. And having her kind of be able to be part of those early days was really a blessing.
Yeah, well, let's backtrack a little bit. How did you guys meet?
So there was a philosophy group in LA, which sounds really fancy.
Wow, it does. That's awesome.
But it was a guy who wanted to lay a foundation for theology through philosophy. And so I encountered this philosophy group through my roommate, Lila Rose, and she invited me, and I met a couple of his best friends through that, and they started kind of scheming and thinking that we would connect, and they were very right.
Okay,
we
was it like instant connection? Like, what was
pretty magic.
Okay.
So I have a love song that I wrote for my future husband, 10 years at least before I met him.
Yeah.
And it's called Wait For Me. And there's a line that says, waiting for the look in your eyes when we meet for the first time. And when our eyes locked across the room at this event, it was magic like that. It was
movie moments where the music faded, the time slowed down, doves flying through her hair.
the light shining.
It really was. It was
special.
something very unique. And the crazy thing, I'd never heard that song, so it's not like I was trying to create a moment. It was a very natural, just authentic, real meeting of eyes, boy meets girl, and beautiful moment.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, Rebecca, you share how your dating experience with Cubbie was actually really refreshing for you. And let's be honest, I'm a single gal. Sometimes dating can be exhausting.
Not so refreshing.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, and I'd had those experiences too, believe me.
But with him, with the right one, it was refreshing. Can you talk about that?
I admitted that first night that I met him that I really liked this guy. I just remember leaving that party and just going, he's special, we really connected. But I think on a soul level, I felt understood. It was almost like he was this male equivalent of me and my heart and my values. And so there was something that settled down in me about him. Like my brother Joel, who is in the King Country. Yes. I know he's been here. You've probably met him. He said, I'm the best version of myself with Cubbie. And he had never said that about anybody. And I think there was something that recognized home in him when I met him. And, you know, again, we went through like challenges in dating and, you know, and had to work through things. It wasn't perfect, but there was something very special, and I'm just thankful for that.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. Well, let's fast forward. You guys obviously get engaged, very Hallmark-esque engagement.
Snow in Nashville.
So
he made
cute.
it so magical.
Oh
It's all in the book for sure.
Okay, guys, take notes. No. Yeah, but I wanted to also talk about how you really kind of, even though you wanted to marry him, you were a little hesitant. You were a little anxious and nervous. And I'm so happy that you talked about that, because not many people do, whether it's the male or female in the relationship. And you had to ask the Lord. You went to wise counsel, but then you also asked the Lord, is this person my person?
100%.
Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, there was fear for me, and I think especially, and it would have been with anyone. I think it just, I had, again, my whole life looked forward to this. I was in my early 30s. Like, I talked so publicly about it. This was a huge deal. And I had to know that I knew that I knew that this was God's man for me. And so there was fear. And I remember praying, even in dating, Lord, help me to have the courage enough to even fall in love and fully give my heart. I knew I was falling in love, but I needed his strength to let my heart go, because I'd been very practiced at guarding my heart at that point. So I think in engagement, I sought counsel with my pastor. I asked for a word from the Bible that was confirmation. Just peace, just all of these things, and I got it. I got it.
That's awesome.
I'm so thankful.
Yes, we need that peace. We really do let peace guide us. Well, obviously you guys get married, and you're very open about some of the challenges that you guys face. Cubbie, some of the things, you know, you were struggling with. Can you just talk about maybe some of those things that you had experienced in your marriage?
Oh, winter season.
Yeah, the winter season. I love how you guys like poetically put that in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting in approaching this book. It would have been very easy to fill the pages with all the highs and all the fun stories, because
there is that too.
There's a lot of those. There's a lot of laughs throughout the book and a lot of just fun stories. But we realized that pain is the point that people really identify with, because some of the things we've been able to experience are a little bit out of touch with reality, but it's the pain that unifies us, because that's the only thing that we're promised in life. So it was important to us to share about that pain, ultimately to share about the purpose that we found on the other side of that pain, and what we learned through that pain. And we speak pretty candidly about our pretty challenging season that we refer to as the winter season in the book. And it was a season where we were just dealing with blow after blow after blow, and just feeling under just a lot of pain and struggle, and ultimately what prompted a lot of healing out of that season. It was a season where I realized I needed help. There was some locked away trauma deep inside that I needed to access, offer up to the Lord to find healing. So it was really through that season, the hardship of it, that we just grew so much and were taught so much.
And a lot of good ministry fruit has come from it too now. Like, and my part of the winter season involved miscarriage too, and burnout, and, you know, kind of dealing with some internal stuff. His mom was dying at that point. I mean, it was just really heavy, heavy things. But God brought hope and redemption through that. And so many moments in this book. This is why I think it would be an encouragement to people. And probably even a good Valentine's gift, you know, something that can just kind of bring hope and encouragement when it comes to faith and relationships. But he brought us hope that we now in ministry can share through song, through songs, you know, music, through this book. And I'm so thankful that I see his restoration. And it's encouraging to us to see him use it now for good.
I can confirm the book is definitely an encouragement for anyone, whether you're married or not. But I also love, you're really open about how in that winter season, you know, a lot of times we'll say like, oh, when one's down, the other is up, and you can really help the one who's down. But you're really honest and said you guys were both down. But the beautiful thing, that I think it's a beautiful choice that you guys made, is that you were like, well, we're in this together. So beautiful. I mean, that's really important, right? In marriage.
Yeah, and I think I talk about it in the book too. I think we talk about curiosity being the sixth love language, where we can really pursue each other's hearts and ask questions. And I think that was something that we pressed into too. Just, we're in it together. Let's really be there for each other.
Yeah, well, there was a turning point for you guys coming from winter to spring. What was that spring moment for you guys?
Well, it really involved us being in Alaska. So I was quietly retired at that point, but there was a show that I was invited to do in Alaska with my brothers in for King Country. And so the whole family went, and it was during worship on stage, and I just encountered the Holy Spirit in such a profound way. I was crying, the audience was crying, and I walked off stage and I knew that spring had come to my heart. I knew that the change that I'd been longing for had happened. And nothing circumstantially had happened that had changed it, but it was here. And immediately after that, I mean, I found out the Cub was experiencing the same kind of spring in his heart. But I fell pregnant with our second daughter. We have a third child now, a son as well, two girls and a son. I mean, the change started happening circumstantially after the internal change happened.
That's beautiful. Well, I can't leave you guys without talking about Unsung Hero. I mean, that movie is so powerful. Obviously, it's about your family's journey coming to the United States, your career, all the miracles, all the amazing things. You actually were part of the directing team. I mean, what was that like, you know, working together with your family, producing and making that film? Because it was so, I mean, I was sobbing at the end, y'all. It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it probably over 100 times at this point, and I still can't get through it without crying. But,
and he's not a big crier. So
really?
This is huge for him.
So, I mean, yeah, I think just the amount of love and care and connection to that story, being able to be a part of bringing it to life and putting it on the screen was just such a unique and beautiful experience. And one that I'll cherish always. But I mean, it was so cool to be able to take these stories that I'd heard for so many years, just hearing them from Rebecca, and then be able to recreate the setting and the scene and put the actors in place and then call action and see these things played out before our very eyes. But then to have the opportunity to break that wall and step into those scenes and in a strange way comfort her younger self. I mean, it was
wild.
I mean, therapeutic and cathartic and healing on so many levels, far more than I ever anticipated.
Oh my gosh, guys, well, we could talk for hours, but thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for this book, because it definitely is just such an encouragement. So thank you guys so much.